and we welcome this new day of legislative work, we further beseech you for peace so that in spite of our diverse views, opinions, and advocacies, we may be reminded that we all work for the same goal. May we imbibe your love for the people, especially the poorest of the poor, so that their welfare may be the primary consideration in the decision that we make. Let us be mindful of the weight of the responsibilities to serve that the power in our hands duly entail. We also pray for healing of the sick. We pray for those who have lost their loved ones. We pray for protection and ask your divine grace to stop the spread of the virus. Lord, this we pray, Almighty God. Amen.
Pwede na po tayo magsiupo. This meeting is now called to order.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Congressman Dalipe.
I move to dispense the calling of the roll.
Any second?
Second.
Hearing no objection, motion is approved. I would like to acknowledge our Deputy Speaker, Paulo Duterte, na naka-monitor sa ating ngayon sa Facebook. The COMSEC is hereby directed to acknowledge the members and resource person present in today's meeting at pati na po yun sa Zoom na in general.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. We would like to acknowledge the presence of Representative Vice Chairman Manuel Manix Dalipe, Vice Chairperson Jocelyn Lim Caichong, Representative Franz Gerald Abaya, Representative Franz Castro, and Representative Kate Belmonte. For the Zoom attendance, Mr. Chairman, we have a total of 49 members. They are Deputy Speaker Escudero, Deputy Speaker Gonzalez, Deputy Speaker Savillano, Senior Vice Chairperson Eileen Ermita Bohain, Vice Chairperson Bautista Bandigan, Vice Chairperson Luis Loren Quaresma, Vice Chairperson Bingo Matugas, Vice Chairperson Jose Tejada, Representative Alonto Balindong, Representative Bascug, Representative Bordado, Representative Abdullah Dimaporo, Representative Carlos T.D., Representative Guico, Representative Gulias, Representative Jimenez, Representative Ortega, Representative Plaza, Representative Roman, Representative Singson Mihan, Representative Tabunting, Representative Alisa Shinatan, Representative Angelina Helen Tan, Representative Reynold Chanco, Representative Ria Vergara, Representative Vincent Villa, Representative Alonto, Representative Rosas, Representative Cabuchan, Representative Crisologo, Representative Kulyamat, Representative Raul Del Mar, Representative Sarah Jane Alago, Representative Gaite, Representative Edsel Lagman, Representative Macnel Lusotan, Representative Eric Martinez, Representative Joseph Paduano, Representative Ramirez Sato, Representative Robes, Representative Rufus Rodriguez, Representative Taduran, Representative Tolentino, Representative Tulfo, Representative Umali, Representative Unabia, Representative Ungab, Representative Veloso, Representative Zarate. That's it, Mr. Chairman. And for our guests this afternoon, physically present also, Mr. Chairman, we have Representative Edgar Arice. And for our guests, Mr. Chairman, we would like to welcome and acknowledge the following. We have Senior Deputy Executive Secretary Michael Ong, Deputy Executive Secretary for Legal Affairs Ryan Alvin Acosta, Deputy Executive Secretary for General Administration MacGill Brian T. Fernandez, and we have Yusek Jacinto Paras of the PLLO. Our Zoom participants from the Office of the President His Executive Secretary, Salvador Medjaldea, and we also have Deputy Executive Secretary for Finance and Administration, Rizalina Hustol, and Deputy Executive Secretary for Internal Audit, Alberto Bernardo. That's it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Magandang umaga sa mga kasamahan ko. Uulitin ko na naman yung panawagan ko sa ating mga kababayan na ngayon may COVID-19, sana itigil na natin yung mga politika, yung mga paninira, yung mga nagpo-post, naninira sa ating presidente, yung mga naninira sa ating vice-presidente, sa mga senator at sa mga congressman. Kahapon po, napunta po sa aking atensyon na meron isang jobber na vlogger po na nag-post po siya Pinost po niya na bakit daw ipinangalan sa akin yung hospital sa Benguet, yung laboratory. Tinatanong niya kung pera ko daw po ba yun. Una-una, ang sagot ko, opo, pera ko po yun, dinonate ko, at hindi ko po alam na ganun po ang ginawa ng taga Benguet Gen out of gratitude. Ngayon po, nung nalaman ko yun at nakita ko yun, kinausap ko kagad yung head ng Benguet Gen na please po, tanggalin yung pangalan ko at ilagay nila ang pangalang Benguet. Ngayon po, ang akin lang po, para kay Jober, nakita ko po yung page niya Lahat na lang po, puro galit, puro maling informasyon. Iisa lang po ang tama sa informasyon na pinost niya. Kung saan meron dumuka niya na ipinapakita niya ano po ang itsura ng COVID kung ito ay magiging tao. Ngayon po, bakit hindi natin itigil yung mga ganitong pagpakalat ng fake news? Instead, gamitin natin yung social media, yung Facebook, para makatulong po tayo sa kababayan natin, magbigay po ng awareness paano labanan ng COVID-19 at paano po, pag nagkaroon kayo ng COVID, paano po kayo gagaling, paano po kayo makahanapan ng lunas at saan po kayo pupunta. Yun lang po yung aking paulit-ulit na panawagan dahil ito po yung pagkakataon na tayo mga Pilipino ay magkaisa-isa po. Kung hindi tayo magkaisa-isa, paano po natin lalabanan ng COVID-19? Para matalo natin ang COVID-19, dapat po tayo, one Filipino po tayo. Iisa po ang dugo natin lahat, Pilipino. Kaya po pakiusap ko, tigilan natin ang siraan, magtulungan tayo, tapusin natin ang laban sa COVID at sigurado ko po mga kababayan, pag tayo ay sama-sama, kaya po natin yung COVID-19. Ngayon, bago tayo mag-present, bago po tayo pumunta sa Office of the President, gusto ko lang pong ipaalam sa inyo na yung mga ibang attached agencies nyo ay i-schedule po namin ng budget briefing din. Para sa mga kasamahan ko dito, dun sa mga gusto magtanong sa mga attached agencies nila, magkakaroon po tayo ng ibang araw para dun. Para mapaliwanag nila yung kanilang mga budget proposal po. Ngayon po, magsimula lang tayo sa Office of the President. Magsimula na po tayo kay Minority Floor Leader Congressman Benito Abante. Nandiyan na po ba kayo, Kong Benny? Unahin na lang po natin si Congresswoman Arlene Brosas. Congressman Arlene Brosas, nandiyan na po ba kayo?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Ay, magandang umaga po sa inyo. Kung Arlene, pwede na po kayo magtanong. You are now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, gusto nating itanong sa Office of the President ang isa sa mga pinaka-controversial na issue sa ating bayan. Ito po yung pagbibigay ng absolute pardon ni President Duterte kay Pemberton. Mr. Chair, sa kabila ng conviction ni U.S. Marine Joseph Scott Pemberton sa murder ni Jennifer Laude, binigyan pa rin siya ng Pangulo ng absolute pardon. Pinalaya si Pemberton dahil umano sa unfair na pagtrato sa kanya, kahit pa special treatment ang natanggap niya sa loob ng Camp Aguinaldo. Naging posible ang lahat ng ito dahil sa Visiting Forces Agreement. Now, Mr. Chair, isn't the President's absolute pardon for Pemberton an official invitation for more abuses of Filipino women and LGBTQ+ by visiting foreign troops? Hindi ba't may mensahe itong sinasabi sa atin na okay lang na pumatay kahit dayuhan dito sa ating bansa at baka mabigyan pa siya ng pardon ng Pangulo, Mr. Chair?
Executive Secretary Medialdea, nandiyan po ba kayo? Baka pwede niyo pong sagutin ang katanungan ng aming Congresswoman Arlene Broses. Baka pwede muna natin pakinggan muna yung opening statement ni Executive Secretary Medialdea at pagkatapos po pakisagot na rin po yung katanungan ni Congresswoman Arlene Broses. Executive Secretary Medialdea, you are now recognized.
Yes. Last year, the Office of the President appeared before this honorable committee to present its proposed budget for the fiscal year 2020. Only a year has passed and yet it felt like a lifetime ago. The COVID-19 pandemic has wreaked havoc all over the world and altered the way we all live our lives. The Office of the President, together with all the government, continues to support and look after the welfare of our people during this trying time. Words are not enough to express our gratitude to all the frontliners, our uniformed personnel, the men and women in government, and most of all, our kababayans who have done their part and have stayed home and extended help to those most in need. The nation is forever grateful for the help you have given. The support we have been receiving from the private sector is overwhelming, but so is the support coming from the public sector, including those from the members of the House of Representatives, both in their official and personal capacities. Both houses of Congress labored with us for the passage of key measures that enable the government to put up a strong front against COVID-19 pandemic and address the immediate needs of our people. With the support of Congress, we will be able to pursue a more holistic approach towards recovery with the goal of ensuring the long-term viability of our economy and overall welfare of the Filipino people. If we may be allowed to present the presentation of the 2021 proposed budget of the Office of the President, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, go ahead.
The senior officials of the Office of the President appear before this honorable committee to present our proposed budget for the year 2021. The Office of the President provides administrative, advisory, consultative, and other support services to the President that enables him to effectively perform his duties as Chief Executive. The Office of the President aims to be an exemplary and dynamic organization composed of dedicated, competent, and professional civil servants worthy of the trust and confidence reposed on them by the President and the Filipino people. The proposed budget of the Office of the President for the fiscal year 2021 amounts to 8,238,000,000 pesos and 691,000 pesos. The Office of the President's proposed budget was formulated based on the directives, policies, and priorities of the President and the tools necessary to achieve them. With the permission of the Honorable Chairman, the Deputy Executive Secretary for Finance and Administration, Rizalina Hustol, will proceed with the office budget presentation. Thank you, sir.
Excuse me, Executive Secretary. Mas maganda po siguro, meron na po kasi kaming copy, no? Mag-proceed na po tayo sa interpellation at yung pong sagot, yung pong tanong kanina ni Congresswoman Arlene Brosas tungkol kay Pemberton sa pagpapalaya sa kanya, baka pwede niyo na pong masagot, Mr. Executive Secretary. You're now recognized.
Alam niyo po, si Mr. Pemberton was given an absolute pardon by the President. This is one of the plenary power contained in no less than the Constitution. I do not wish to second the wisdom behind the President's decision, and I assure you the exercise was within his authority.
Thank you, Mr. Executive Secretary. Congressman Arlene Brosas, you're now recognized.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Congressman Arlene, you may proceed with your questioning.
yes, follow up po dito, sinabi sa isang pahayag ni Pala spokesperson Harry Roque na tuloy pa rin ang termination ng Visiting Forces Agreement. Pero matapos po ang isang taon, bakit pinapatagal pa ito? Alam niyo po, yung Visiting Forces Agreement at yung EDCA, Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, ito po yung mga kasunduan na nagbibigay ng special treatment sa mga tropa ng Kano dito. Kaya po meron tayong may mga cases katulad ni Jennifer Laude, ni Nicole Smith at marami pang iba sa bansa natin. Ito po yung mga agreements in our country na nagagamit, no, para makapang-abuso palalo sa mga military bases dahil nag-host tayo ng US troops and military dito sa ating bansa. Mr. Chair, ano-ano yung mga kondisyon na inilatag ng Pangulo para mabago ang pag-iisip niya tungkol dito? Kasi sabi, ito-terminate na, tapos hindi. Tapos may isang taon pa ngayon, Mr. Chair. Sagutin po tayo ng Office of the President kaugnay dito.
Executive Secretary Medial Dea, can you please answer the question?
Alam niyo, ang Visiting Forces Agreement po has vast effects sa Pilipinas and should be studied very carefully. Hindi pwedeng basta-basta mag-decide.
Congressman Arlene Brosas, yung pong sagot ni Executive Secretary.
Mr. Chair, napakalungkot po no, na ang mga sinasagot sa atin ay mga pahayag na napaka-vague, na hindi maiintindihan at mauunawaan ng mga ordinaryong Pilipino. Ang hinihiling po, partikular ng mga pamilya, ng mga biktima ng pang-abuso na ito, ng mga tropang Kano, ay hustisya. Hindi po ito maibigay sa kasalukuyan at ngayon pa ay binigyan nga ng pabor na maibalik sa bansa niya ang alam natin na convicted na murderer na si US Marine Joseph Scott Pemberton. Masakit po no, sa kalooban, even ng family, dahil hindi tinatanggap ng pamilya yung lahat ng mga sinasabi ng sakop ni Joseph Scott Pemberton na humihingi ng tawad. Hindi po kailangan ng pamilya yun. Ang kailangan po ng pamilya ngayon ay hustisya kaugnay dito, Mr. Chair. Kaya sa tingin po namin, walang ibang direksyon na dapat tuntunin matapos ang pardon para kay Pemberton, kundi ang ganap na pagbasura sa mga lumilikha ng mga abuso na ito katulad ng Visiting Forces Agreement at Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement. At iba pang mga kasunduan na nagbibigay ng special treatment sa mga tropang Kano dito sa ating bansa. Dahil under these agreements, our entire country has become a playground no, ng mga soldiers who clearly have no respect for women and LGBTQ+. Habang nagkakaroon po ng mga military bases dito at nag-host nga tayo dito ng mga military hardware at kung ano-ano pa at US troops, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Isang tanong po kaugnay sa line item budget supposedly ng Office of the President para sa 2021. Wala po kaming nakitang line item patungkol sa funding ng National Secretariat ng NTF-ELCAP. Bakit hindi po ito ayon sa Section 9 of Executive Order 70, ang funding po nakalagay. The succeeding year's appropriations for the operation of the National Secretariat shall be included in the budget proposal of the Office of the President.
Bago niyo po sagutin yan, ES, gusto ko lang po sabihin na tama po kayo, Congressman Arlene, at ako po ay nabilib sa ating presidente nung sinabi niyang i-scrapin niya yung Visiting Forces Agreement dahil nakita na ng ating presidente to na talagang disadvantageous sa atin. Nung sinabi niya yun, marami ang bumatiko sa ating presidente. Pero kung ngayon makikita nyo na tama kayo, ginawang playground ng Kano, yun ho yung dahilan ng ating presidente at ang wisdom niya, bakit niya gustong i-terminate. Sa pagkakaintindi ko kay ES, hindi basta-basta ganun kabilis i-terminate yun. Kailangan po pag-aralan dahil may mga napirmahan po yung mga ibang administrasyon dati na agreement po siguro. Ngayon po, Mr. Executive Secretary, pwede niyo na po sagutin yung... Yes.
So, Chair, pinardon niya si Pemberton eh. This is what he is saying at ano po yung kanyang ginawa, Mr. Chair.
Yung kay Pemberton naman po, siguro pwede po natin tanungin sa legal yan kung ito ba illegal o hindi. At makikita naman natin siguro ang ating presidente, hindi naman po siya gagawa ng aksyon na illegal. Ngayon po, Executive Secretary, pakisagot po yung tanong ni Congressman Arlene Bosas tungkol dun sa budget na inline.
Tungkol sa budget na inalign po, no, may we just request Deputy Executive Secretary for Finance to answer it. Secretary Hustol, Lina.
Secretary Ustol, you're now recognized.
Good morning po, sir. The funding po for the National Task Force and Local Communist Armed Forces is already included under the Presidential Oversight Program po.
Tapos na po.
Yes po.
Congresswoman
Kasama po siya.
Arlene
Chair,
Bosas.
kung masyadong nakuha, nasaan daw yung line item niya?
Last question po yan. Ma'am, ano po, nasaan daw po yung line item? Pakiulit po.
Kasama po, Your Honor, sa Presidential Oversight Program.
Paano po yung nakalagay dito?
Ma'am, magkano daw po yung nakalagay?
Kaya nga, kasi ano siya, pero magkano yung nakalagay? Kasi included siya. For 2021, Your Honor, for maintenance of operating expenses for that particular is 39,270,000 po.
Congressman Arlene, nasagot na po niya, kaya lang medyo naka 5 minutes na po kayo. Punta na po muna tayo kay Congresswoman Franz Castro.
So, Chair, pasubmit na lang po ako ng line item nito kasi hindi namin makita sa budget. Sa
Okay.
budget books mismo, hindi po naka-reflect. Kailangan po natin maging transparent dito kung bakit po ito pong mga ito kailangan pong alam natin. Dahil katulad po nung pagiging transparent dapat sa 16 billion na General Sport Barangay Development Program, dapat po nakaisa-isa yun. At yun ay ibinibigay dapat ibigay ng Office of the President na budget sa atin, Mr. Chair. Gusto nating makita yung line item nito, Mr.
Okay
Chair.
po.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's
Consent,
my
you are
last
now directed to get the list from the Office of the President. And now I would like to recognize Congresswoman Franz Castro. Ma'am, you are now recognized. You can ask your question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Simula po nang naputol yung usapang kapayapaan at simula nang binuo ang NTF-ELCAC, tumindi po ang human rights violation gaya ng kaliwat kanang abuso ng pulis at militar, illegal na aresto at detention, gawa-gawang kaso, hanggang sa EJK. Walang kahiyang mga opisyal na nagpaparatang ng basta-basta bilang terorista o komunista ang mga kritiko, progresibo at ordinaryong mamamayan. Idagdag pa sa political repression yung libo-libong tokhang killings and abuses. Okay? So, siguro, Mr. Chair, itutuloy ko na lang po yung dun sa pagkakabuo po ng NTF-ELCAC through Executive Order number 70. So, 2018 po yung Executive Order 70. So, sa unang taon po, ang NTF-ELCAC po ay meron pong 522 million. Provided, so 85 million under the DILG, 96 million under the TESDA, 284 under the DSWD. So, ang tanong ko lang, Mr. Chair, As a Commander-in-Chief and the Chair of the NTF-ELCAC, si Pangulong Duterte, we would like to hear how the Office of the President spent it. Yan yung first question, Mr.
Sino
Chair.
pong sasagot?
I believe may representative pang ano.
Kayo po yung
ELCAC.
sasagot?
Meron pong ano, sasagot po from
Anong
Lulu.
pangalan para mai-recognize siya?
May I ask Deputy ES Hustol? to respond?
Deputy Sustol, can you please answer the question? You're now recognized.
Yes, Your Honor. What was under the OP is only for the Secretariat. Other funding on a different agency is OP has no control for that budget po. So what is included in the OP budget proper is only for the Secretariat. As mentioned by the Honorable Congressman, that the budget is lodged to other departments, so it will be now maybe asked for other department how it was implemented.
Congresswoman.
Follow-up
Fran.
lang, Mr. Chair, dahil dahil sa Office of the President po yung chair ng NTF-ELCAC. So dapat meron po tayong accountability, no, transparent din. Dapat nagre-report itong mga binanggit nating ahensya sa Office of the President para kung paano ito nagasta.
Yusek Ustol.
Well, taken Your Honor, I think we have to get now the different expenditures of the different agency, and that can be taken also through their annual audit report. So we have to look into how they spent, and we're going to submit also, Your Honor.
Congresswoman Franz.
So, Mr. Chair, with your committee, may we have the report submitted through your committee and to my office, Mr. Chair.
Consec, you're now directed to get the copy from the Office of the President.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pangalawa po, ito po, ngayon pong 2021, less than 3,000 ang increase po ng NTF-ELCAC. So, continuing question lang po namin ito, no, ng Makabayan Block, 16.4. So, nakalagay nga dito, Mr. Chair, iba't ibang mga program doon sa mga barangay. So, ang tanong natin, Mr. Chair, meron na bang guidelines na inisyo ang NTF-ELCAC? Muli, doon sa sinasabi nilang cleared barangay. Meron na po bang guidelines?
Sino pong sasagot from OP?
That question, Chair, can be answered by the NTF-ELCAC Secretariat. So,
Nandito po ba siya ngayon?
Well, we can ask Deputy Sustol again,
Okay.
Chair.
Deputy Hustol, you're now recognized. Please answer the question.
Yes, Honor, but for the moment, we don't have the documents for that because we have to coordinate with the department or in charge for that particular program. But anyway, we have to get the details and to submit to your office po.
Ano lang, we can submit it, Chair,
Consec, can you
together
please
with-
get the documents from the Office of the President?
Mr. Chair, kung meron
Yes.
na po itong mga proyekto, bakit hindi po ipinasok ito sa NEP at mga regular agencies natin? So kung titignan po natin yung kanilang menu, 20 million per barangay na mapipili nung NTF-ELCAC o ng mga general natin na nasa NTF-ELCAC. Farm to Market Road, school building, water sanitation system, health stations, electrification, agricultural, livelihood, and technical vocational training projects, and assistance to indigent individual, cash for work, education, medical, burial, transportation, and food. Ito po, Mr. Chair, lump sum ito. So, dati naman, di ba, nilalagay sa agency. Kaya lang, ito, nasa Office of the President through the NTF-ELCAC. Lump sum ito, pinagbabawal na ito ng Supreme Court decision, Mr. Chair, noong 2014. Kung mariremember po ninyo, yung DAP, okay, development as, yung sinasabi po nating DAP na bawal po na maglagay ng mga lump sum sa budget at tapos po may discretionary power. Etong NTF-ELCAC na pinamumunuan po ng mga general at syempre
Ma'am,
chair
wrap up
po
na
si
po,
President. So, ayun lang po, Mr. Chair. So, katulad lang po ng sinasabi, continuing na question ko dito, hanggang ngayon, isang linggo na, wala pa yung guidelines, wala pa yung mga line items kaugnay nito. At ito, Mr. Chair, malaking sum to, 16 billion na dapat na ipasok na lang natin sa mga line agencies na nangangailangan like education, health, yung housing, Office of the Vice President na niliitan din, DOST, DTI, at iba pa, Mr. Chair. Sana mailagay itong 16 billion na ito dun sa mga yung mga line agencies na nag-i-implement ng budget.
Congresswoman, noted po yan. Alam ko na pong isasagot ng OP. I-pass nyo na lang po yung mga details pag meron na ASAP sana. Comsec, pakikuwalakat sa Office of the President yung mga hinihingi natin, Doc, sa kanila. At ngayon po, kay Congresswoman Geraldine Roman. Congresswoman Roman, you're now recognized. Congresswoman Geraldine Roman, you are now recognized po. Good morning. Baka hindi pa po siya handa at masyado po mabilis ang mga pangyayari. Pumunta po muna tayo kay Congressman Ferdy Gaite. Congressman Ferdy Gaite, you are now recognized.
Mr. Chair, si Congresswoman Geraldine po ito.
Sorry po kung Geraldine, i-recognize ko na po ulit kayo. Congresswoman Geraldine Roman, you're now recognized. Good morning po.
Magandang umaga po, Mr. Chair. Napakinggan ko po kayo kanina, nabanggit nyo na yung mga affiliated agencies sa Office of the President ay merong separate na budget hearing. Is this correct po ba?
Oo, mag-schedule tayo ng separate budget briefing sa mga ibang attached agencies ng Office of the President. Bibigyan ko po kayo ng mga...
Mr. Chair, tatanungin ko sana yung dun sa PhilPost, pero kung ibang fetcha na lang po, ipagpapaliban ko na po yung aking pagtatanong. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you po, Congressman Roman. Napakaganda nyo po ngayong umaga. Ngayon po, punta po tayo kay Congressman Ferdy Gaite.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. You're now recognized.
Salamat po, Mr. Chair, at sa ating mga kasamahan sa Kongreso, isang magandang umaga at sa ating mga kapitapitagang mga panauhian. Nandyan po ba pa rin ang ating kagalang-galang na Secretary Medya?
Yes, nasa Zoom po siya.
Nandyan po ba siya?
Opo, nasa Zoom.
Okay, maraming salamat po. May mga ilang katanungan lang po ako, lalo na sa usapin ng ating pambansang seguridad. Mabilis na lang po, no? Mari po bang malaman sa Office of the President kung aware po sila sa inilabas na listahan ng mga Chinese companies na blacklisted ngayon ng Estados Unidos dahil sa kanilang kontribusyon sa reclamation sa West Philippine Sea. Oo lang po, hindi, Mr. Chair, para mabilis na
Yes.
tayo.
Executive Secretary Medialdea, can you please answer the question by yes or no?
Alam niyo po, nabasa ko lang yan sa mga news articles, pero officially wala po ako nakikitang mga what you call a confirmation that they were really involved in the construction of the bases, Chinese bases.
Thank you. Congressman Gaite, your next question, please.
Aware din po bang OP na ang isa sa mga kumpanya na nasa listahan ay ang tinawag na China Airport Construction Corporation, isang subsidiary ng Construction and Communications Corporation of China. Oo lang po, hindi, Mr. Chair.
Yes or no po, Mr. ES, you're now recognized.
Alam ko na may mga binanho, but we are not aware of the specific companies as of now. We haven't gotten into it because that's within the purview of the Department of Foreign Affairs.
Congressman Gaite, your next question, please.
Salamat po. Tatlong tanong. Alam po ba ng OP na ang nasabing mga kumpanya ay na-blacklisted na ng World Bank International Monetary Fund dahil sa mga tinaguriang fraudulent practices? Yes or no lang, Mr. Chair?
Hindi ko na sasabihin kay ES na yes or no lang dahil gusto niya pong ipaliwanag. ES, pakipaliwanag po.
Nawala yung nawala yung audio.
Nawala. Alam niyo po, Congressman Gaite, pakiulit-ulit yung iyong tanong.
Okay. Mr. Chair, alam po ba ng Office of President ang nasabing kumpanya na banggit kanina ay the blacklist na ng World Bank at ng IMF dahil sa quote-unquote fraudulent practices? Yes or no lang po para sa final question na, Mr. Chair.
Ayoko po sa kanyang sabihin na yes or no lang kasi sasagutin niya po na mahaba yun. Executive Secretary, you're now recognized.
We are not aware, sir. We have no communication with respect to those information.
Okay. For my final question or final kami nababahala at dapat rin siguro mabahala ang Office of President. Dahil bakit hindi aware ang Office of the President, lalo na involved ito doon sa 500 billion Sangli International Airport na kapartner ang nabanggit na CACC, China Airport Corporation. And considering, Mr. Chair, that the Office of the President with its 8.238 billion fund has a intelligence and confidential fund, more than half is 4.5 billion for confidential and intelligence funds, the purpose of which is to investigate ito nga national security and especially yung ating peace and order. Nabahala po kami na ang basis lamang ng ating kagalang-galang na kalihim ay mga news reports. I think the Office of the President has the wherewithal, the resources, the funds para gawin ang tungkulin para imbestigahan ang mga nasasangkot na mga kumpanyang ito dito sa West Philippine Sea. Pwede po ang makakuha ng clarification sa Office of the President, Mr. Chair?
Executive Secretary, you're now recognized.
These are all in the news, but not because the U.S. has banned a contractor.
Congressman Gaite, yung oras po ni Congresswoman Colyamat ay ibibigay po sa inyo. Bale, meron na po kayong 6 minutes. Ituloy nyo lang po yung tanong nyo.
Salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Sir, may I answer your question? Not because na binan na sila ng US, ibaban na rin natin sila dito sa Pilipinas, no? Meron naman tayong sariling soberanidad doon. Tignan natin yan at bigyan din natin sila ng due process in line with independent foreign policy of the government.
Yes.
Thank you po. Congressman Gaite, please proceed to your next question.
Mr. Chair. Hindi lang po Estados Unidos na nag-blacklist na dito. Ultimo ang World Bank, ang IMF, na kadalasan nga po sila nagpo-provide ng funding for infrastructure and development of programs. Kinikilatis rin nila itong mga kumpanyang sangkot sa mga tinatawag na mga development programs. Kung kaya natin yung ating pambansang soberanya and yung intrusion sa ating exclusive economic zone is a major concern, and I think with the resources na available sa ating Office of the President, hindi maaaring mag-rely lang tayo sa news reports. Hindi pwede tayo mag-rely lang sa media reports. Meron tayong 4.5 billion out of the 8.23 billion, more than half of the resources ng OP ang nandyan sa pondong iyan. Nakakabahala na napakarami na pong reports at galing mismo sa ating gobyerno. I remember Foreign Secretary Teodoro Locsin, who urged the cancellation of contracts with China firms blacklisted by the United States. So, ibig sabihin, but are we acting on it, Mr. Chair, sa ating kagalang-galang na ES?
Executive Secretary, you're now recognized.
Yes. Alam niyo po, yung Ano?
Chair.
Yung mga listahan na yan ng mga banned companies, it only came out when the election season came about in the United States, no? Hindi naman po dahil sa yan ang kagustuhan nila, susunod na rin tayo dyan. Yun na nga, meron tayong independent foreign policy, we should do it on our own. Rest assured that we will look into this from now on.
Sandali lang po, Congressman Gaite. Sa mga kababayan kong Pilipino, ina-announce ko lang na meron tayong sovereignty at talagang Philippines ay independent pa rin talaga tayo at nakakatuwang marinig yan. Congressman Gaite, proceed to your next question.
Okay. Yung nga pong hinahanap namin, yung investigation. Hindi ba dapat blown investigation considering that marami sa mga kumpanyang Pilipinas mismo, yung 500 billion Sangli International Airport, yung pagtatayo ng mga artificial islands sa West Philippine Sea, na by the way, ng Permanent Court of Arbitration na pinapaboran ang Pilipinas sa ating EEZ. Hindi ba dapat dito ang resources ng confidential and intelligence funds ng Office of the President para lalong malaman dahil nasa loob mismo ng ating bansa na itong mga kumpanyang ito. Kahit na binabanggit na baka probably it's only for political reasons kung bakit nasama yan, pero yung IMF World Bank na listahan na fraudulent practices nitong CCCC at yung iba pa, dapat yan na yung trigger at yung hinihintay namin, investigation. And also, ano ang mga hakbang na dapat ginagawa ng Office of the President in protecting our national security, Mr. Chair.
Senior Deputy Executive Secretary Michael Ong, you are now recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Congressman. Of course, Chair, hindi lang naman sa news reports kami nagre-rely. We also have the agencies, the proponent agencies, directly managing and initiating the project to rely on. Kasi sila po talaga yung mas makapagbusisi mga qualifications, mga detalye ng project. So in this case, I think the project being referred to is under the supervision and management of the DOTR. So we rely on their findings. Hindi naman po kami makapag-micro manage. Ang OP po is oversight. So yun po, Chair.
Congressman Gaite, you can proceed your question.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Medyo disheartening na sa dami ng reports na nga, sabihin na natin media reports, pero ito ay may batayan. Hindi naman lalabas yung report na hindi ito may plan. So nabanggit na nga, ang sinite na mga reports ay sa IMF World Bank, of course sa United States, Department of Commerce, na involved. Nakakabahala dahil they will be part, especially the Sangli International Airport, na isang napakalaking proyekto. Imagine, 500 billion. So, parang sinabi na natin na merong mga umaagaw ng ating mga West Philippine Sea. And now we're even inviting them inside sa loob ng ating bansa. Tapos sangkot sila sa mga ganitong mga fraudulent na mga practices. Napaka-intrusion ito ng ating pambansang soberanya. At sinasabi ni E.S. Medialdea, tama, meron tayong pambansang soberanya. And we should assert that. Ang problema, hindi ko makita paano ngayon ito nare-reconcile sa ganitong usapin. Nakababahalang kinatawang ito na napakalaki ng budget ng Office of the President. And yet, hindi nagagamit. Ang laki ng tinaas ng confidential intelligence funds for the past several years. Sa panahon ng dating administrasyon, wala pang 600 million pesos ang budget. And yet, on sa PCA, sa Permanent Tribunal, kung paano ang pagpapasya na ang assertion ng economic zone sa ating, ng Philippine Economic Zone o Exclusive Economic Zone. So yan lang po actually ang aming katanungan at sana po mismo ang Office of the President ay tignan ng maigi itong mga niraise na mga concerns ng kinatawan to, Mr. Chair.
Thank you po sa inyong last manifestation. Yun lang, sinasabi niyo na silipin niyo na lang daw po. Ngayon po, pumunta po tayo kay Congresswoman Sara Elago.
Maraming salamat, Ginoong Chair. Para sa unang tanong, magkano ang nagamit na pondo ng Office of the President para sa taong 2019 at magkano na ang nagagastos para sa 2020 as of August 2020?
Senior Deputy Executive Secretary Michael Ong, you're now recognized.
Thank you, Chair. May I refer you to our Chief Finance Officer, Deputy Esostol, once again.
Deputy Stoll, you're now recognized.
Thank you po, sir. I just get the record first. Operations budget. Your Honor, just a moment.
Okay lang po.
We have to check our budget.
Congresswoman Sara Elago, mukhang nahirapan sila hanapin ang katanungan mo. Gusto ko lang sabihin na mukha kang Koreano Bella sa picture ngayon at napakaganda mo ngayong araw na to. Kamukha mo yung nasa crash landing on you. Yeah, commercial break tayo habang naghahanap.
Mr. Chair, pwede pong pahanap na rin po natin kung magkano po ang proposed budget para sa 2021 ng Office of the President. Salamat.
Thank you. Deputy Hustol, pwede po pakihanap na rin po yon yung budget para sa 2021?
Your Honor, for 2021, Your Honor, is 8 as presented on the, yung binibigay po na ano po, the slides, 8.201,201,318,000. That's for 2021 budget proposal. Then for 2020 po, sorry that we don't have yet record as of August, still the finance is still consolidating all the obligations, but we have record as of June 30, 2020 po. Your Honor, for 2019, as of December 31, 2019, the total obligations po is 5.3 billion, 5,371,410,000 po. Then for 2020, out of our budget,
Mr. Chair, habang nangangalap po ng datos ang OP, tanungin ko na rin po, no, out of the 5.3 billion spent in 2019, how much of this budget was spent for confidential and intelligence funds?
No, it's 2.5 billion. For 2019 po, our appropriations for the CIF of 2.5 billion is fully spent po.
Yung Congresswoman Elago.
Yes, now, Mr. Chair, we're waiting for the figures for the 2020 spending as of June 30.
Deputy Hustol, okay na po ba?
Yes, Your Honor,
Aha.
the 2020 expenditures po is as of June 30, the actual obligations is 3,306,983,000 po.
Congresswoman Elago, yung pong kanyang sagot.
Yes, Ginoong Chair, hingin po natin ang breakdown no, ng mga nagastos so far ng OP. Magkano naman po ang total na confidential and intelligence budget para sa taong 2016 hanggang 2020? Magkano po ang kabuang naging CIE budget?
Deputy...
At katulad ng 2019, lahat po ba ito ay nagastos na? Pwera sa 2020, Mr. Chair.
Deputy Hustol, pakisagot
Mr.
po.
Chair, can we submit, kasi he's asking now from 2016, can we submit later the details from 2016 to the present?
Yes, please submit all. Comsec, you're now directed to get those documents from the Office of the President. Yung po, Congresswoman Elago, isasubmit po nila at ipapadala lang po sa inyo.
Mr. Chair, para sa 2021, 4.5 billion muli ang hinihingi ng Office of the President. Tama po ba? Para sa confidential at intelligence funds.
Deputy Hustol, you're now recognized.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this back correct po, 4.5 billion. Same po level sa 2020 po.
Mr. Chair, ito po ay 54.26% ng kabuang budget ng OP. Bakit higit sa kalahati ng pondo po ng Presidente ay patagupong ginagamit?
Michael Ong, Deputy Executive Secretary, you're now recognized.
Chair, under the Office of the President, meron po kami mga offices na involved po in ensuring national security. But for the details, may I refer the body to Deputy ES for Internal Audit, Bernardo.
Sir, you're now recognized.
Salamat po, Ginoong Chairperson. Yung gastusin po sa intelligence fund ay nagmumula sa intelligence estimate of foreign and local situations for the formulation of national policies by the President. Itong integrated intelligence may include all information, events, incidents in terms of the risk they pose or implications upon or threat to the overall security and stability of the nation for the purpose of recommending to the President appropriate actions thereon. Gaya po ng nabanggit kanina ng Senior Deputy ES, ang ilang mga tanggapan na namamahala ng intelligence at confidential activities ay ang isa, yung Presidential Situation Room. Meron siyang mandato to provide current intelligence and crisis support to the President, the Executive Secretary, and the National Security Advisor. Pangalawa, yung National Anti-Money Laundering and Countering Financing of Terrorism Coordinating Committee. Ang mandato po niya to facilitate the periodic conduct of money laundering and terrorist financing risk assessment and recommend action plans and to address the risks identified. Meron po rin isa pang ahensya, National Cybersecurity Interagency Committee. Sila naman ay mayroong mandato to assess the vulnerability of the country's cybersecurity. Pangalawa, to serve as the country's coordinating arm on domestic, international, and transnational efforts pertaining to cybersecurity. Meron din pong Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission. Ang mandato naman po nila kaugnay sa intelligence ay to conduct intelligence and counterintelligence operations to identify government officials and employees, crime syndicates, and their cohorts who are involved in criminal activities. Pangalawa, subject to existing laws, grant monetary rewards and incentives to informants giving information leading to the successful prosecution of criminal offenders and corrupt government officials. Kasunod po niyan, yung Philippine Center on Transnational Crime. Ang ilang mandato po niya to establish through the use of modern information and telecommunications technology a shared central database among government agencies for information on criminals, methodologies, arrest and conviction on transnational crimes. Meron pa pong tayong ahensya na tinatawag na Anti-Terrorism Council Project Management Council. Ang ilan sa kanyang mandato to facilitate intelligence fusion with all intelligence agency concerning terrorism and provide intelligence requirements of the PMC in the implementation of anti-terrorism program. Yung ilang isang panghuli yung National Coast Watch System to provide the President and national security leaders recommendations to upgrade strategic level guidance, policies, and standards to promote information and intelligence sharing across a wide range of domestic and international maritime stakeholders. Doon pong kalawak yung mandato at pananagutan ng namamahala sa confidential at intelligence activities. Pansamantala, yun po muna yung tugon po, Ginoong Chairperson.
Congresswoman Elago, please proceed to your last question.
Yes, Ginoong Chair, natagurian itong black budget, no, dahil ito ay nakakataka sa public scrutiny dahil nga dun sa nature ng funds. Kaya isa ito sa mga nagiging hadlang pagdating sa transparency at accountability ng mga pondo. Not to mention that from 2016 to 2020, we've already spent about 12 billion for confidential and intelligence funds. Kung idadagdag po para sa 2021, yan ay aabot na ng 16 billion o 6 na beses na mas malaki sa 6 na taon po ng nakaraang administrasyon. Kaya, Ginoong Chair, bakit po sa gitna ng pandemya, no, tama po ba na humingi pa ang Office of the President ng 12.98 million kada araw para sa black budget? Kung ito po ay maaari nating magamit, no? Para sa milyong-milyon na PPEs, sa mga testing kits, pagpapalawak ng capacity ng ating public healthcare system, pagtulong sa mga manggagawa na nawala ng trabaho, at pagpapalaki, no, ng social amelioration programs sa gitna ng pandemya. Bakit kailangan, no? Bakit humihingi pa ng 12.98 billion kada araw sa pondo na napakahirap pong i-audit?
Sino pong sasagot from the Office of the President? Yes.
Chair, refer ko pa rin po kay Desha Bernardo, the one who responded.
Okay. Sir, you're now recognized. Can you please answer the question?
Salamat po, Ginoong Chairperson. Mas mahalaga po nga sa ganitong krisis sapagkat na patunayan natin kahit na mayroong pandemya ng COVID, meron pa rin tayong mga bombers na nangyari dito sa Sulu. Marami pa rin nagsasamantala na mga terorista sa kaguluhang dulot ng COVID na magsasamantala para pabagsakin ang seguridad ng bansang ito. Kaya mas nangangailangan tayo ng proteksyon. Isa pang halimbawa dyan ang sa cybersecurity, sapagkat lahat ng mga transaksyon ay cashless at electronic, kaya yung ating cybersecurity space na tinatawag, kinakailangan tugunan natin, lalong higpitan na hindi makakapagsamantala ang mga sindikato doon sa kahinaan ng sistema habang mayroong krisis. Mas higit pong kinakailangan ng ganitong seguridad sa ganitong krisis. Kaya patuloy po natin ginagampanan yung ating mga tungkulin.
Sir, itatanong
Mr. Chair, may last manifestation po.
Okay, please proceed, Congresswoman Elago.
Yes, Mr. Chair, yun nga pong pinagtataka natin sa kabila ng sobrang laki na po ng nilobo ng confidential and intelligence funds ay nangyayari pa rin, no, ang napakasaklap at mariin natin kinukundina, no, na mga atake. Ang tanong dito ng taong bayan, nag-google ba ito ng epektibo? Bakit hindi natin idiretso na lang no dun sa mga programa na makakasama ang taong bayan no sa pagtitiyak na ito ay nagugugol ng maayos no nang nandiyan ang mga mekanismo for transparency at accountability dahil hindi naman po natin maaring payagan na bilyon-bilyon ang nalalaan no para sa isang secret spending na operations na katulad nito. Muli, sa gitna ng pandemya, kinakailangan no, na imbes na black budget, ilagay natin para sa kalusugan at sa kabuhayan ng mamamayan. Maraming salamat.
Thank you po, Congresswoman Ilago. Ang tanong ko lang po sa OP, ibig sabihin, ngayong may COVID, natutugunan na natin ang COVID-19 at hindi tayo nagpapabaya para sa terrorism. So tuloy-tuloy ang pagbabantay natin sa terrorism at yung war on drugs natin, tuloy-tuloy din. Kaya po malaki ba ang inyong budget doon dahil ayaw nyo magpabaya, ayaw nyo sayangin yung effort na ginawa ng ating presidente ng ilang taon. Bale, tuloy-tuloy na ang COVID na tulong natin plus yung mga anti-drugs at yung mga anti-terrorism natin, tuloy-tuloy pa rin po yung mga programa natin doon. Yes, sir?
Tama po, Chair. Kahit pa sa panahon ng pandemya. Madali po kasi makita yung mga insidente na naituloy ng mga terorista yung kanilang balakin. Yung po yung nakikita natin Ang hindi natin nakikita yung mga napigilan. Pero we can assure you na because of the efforts of the government, meron po tayong mga napipigilan.
Pasensya na po kayo at hindi ko lang po mapigilan humanga sa ating presidente dahil kahit na may COVID ay natututukan pa po niya. Sanay po siya mag-multitask. Kaya nga po ako kaya ako maraming tanong dahil ngayon lang po ako napasok sa politika. So dati pala, kaya wala mga ganun fund, siguro baka hindi nila priority yung mga war on drugs, yung mga terrorism. Pero ngayon, binabati ko po yung ating presidente, bukod sa pagtugon niya sa COVID-19, talagang hindi niya pinababayaan yung mga tao, yung mga Pilipino, sa yung war on drugs niya, ituloy-tuloy pa rin at yung terrorism, anti-terrorism niya. Ngayon po, magpunta na tayo kay Congressman Carlos Zarate. Kong, you're now recognized.
Maraming salamat, Mr. Speaker. Magandang umaga.
Hindi pa po ako speaker. Baka po sa susunod na taon.
Maraming salamat, Mr. Chair. So may I proceed na, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Kong. Go ahead po.
Gusto ko lang sundan yung mga line of questionings ng ating mga kasamahan. Dahil nga, kapansin-pansin, na talagang 400% yung itinaas ng confidential and intelligence funds ng Office of the President. Although nabanggit kanina ni Deputy Executive Secretary Bernardo na may mga ahensya, but of course, we know that the OP is primarily not an intelligence gathering and surveillance agency. But it got a big chunk, napakalaki recipient siya ng highest appropriations for confidential and intelligence budget in the history of our national budget. Iba pa ito doon sa mga intelligence fund na nasa defense and sa security sector. So ang tanong ko siguro patungkol dyan, Mr. Chair, di po ba ang National Intelligence Coordinating Agency, which has an appropriation of 1 billion for 2020 and another 850 million for 2021, is the principal advisor of the President when it comes to intelligence? Tama po ba yun, Mr. Chair?
Sino po sa Office of the President ang pwedeng sumagot?
Coordinator, if I may, Chair.
Yes, you're now recognized. Can you please answer the question?
Yung pong NICA, it coordinates the different agencies that gathers intelligence. But we have a president who prioritizes national security. Kaya po, meron din po siyang sariling intelligence and confidential funds that are within his control. And ayun po, kaya po nagko-coexist po yan. Meron po mga tuloy-tuloy po intelligence gathering, may budget pa rin po yung mga intelligence agencies. At the same time, our president wants to have the control on his own sources of information.
Congressman Zarate, your next question, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yun po ang pinopoint out natin dito. Sa panahon ng ganitong krisis, matinding krisis na pinalala nitong pandemya ng COVID, nagkakautang-utang tayo, parang kung mayroong repetition, duplication in fact, triple yung paglalagay ng confidential and intelligence fund. if the Office of the President has billions of pesos of intelligence funds, di po ba parang useless, no? Napaka-useless nung ito ay ginagabayan din ng presidente, bakit meron pa tayong NICA, no, with 800 employees? Di po ba para unnecessary na ito na nagdodoble yung mga pondo, Mr. Chair?
Deputy Executive Secretary Ong, can you please answer?
Hindi naman po nagdodoble, Chair. Of course, kinoconsider po yung kung ano yung ginagawa at nagagawa ng NICA at ibang mga ahensya sa sarili pong mga intelligence efforts led by the President. Of course, all of that is taken into account.
Congressman Sarate.
Is there, has the COA audited all these confidential and intelligence funds, Mr. Chair, from the Office of the President?
Deputy Executive Ong, can you please answer?
I-refer ko po kay Andesha Bernarda po ulit.
Okay. Sir, can you please answer the question of Congressman Sarate?
Salamat po, Ginoong Chairperson. Totoo po na ito ay covered ng COA at ito ay ino-audit alinsunod doon sa Joint Circular number 2015-01 na issue po ito noong January 8, 2015. Taon-taon po ito ay ino-audit at lahat ng kanilang mga reports ay dumadaan din sa COA. Kaya,
can we obtain a copy of that report, Mr. Chair, to be submitted to the committee?
Comsec, you're directed to get that copy of the report from the Office of the President?
Chair?
Yes.
Ayun po kasing report sa COA, based on COA rules itself, diretso po talaga sa kanila. For a reason, kasi nga po.
Okay, siguro Congressman Sarate, kunin na lang natin sa COA pagka sila yung nag-budget briefing dito, sa kanilang natin siguro hingiin.
Very well, Mr. Chair, for as long as we can get a copy of that. Now, on to my other line of questioning, Mr. Chair. May I proceed?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Nabanggit na rin ito kanina, no? Yung paglobo rin ng budget ng NTF-LCAC, ano? But my specific question to that, dahil that's nabanggit ito, kabahagi rin ng bakit mayroong malaking pondo ng Intelligence Fund, yung Anti-Terrorism Council, no? May I inquire from the Executive Secretary if the Anti-Terrorism Council has already convened based on the new law?
Executive Secretary Miguel Dea, you're now recognized.
Yes, what was the question?
The Executive Secretary, Mr. Chair, is the chair of the Anti-Terrorism Council, and even under the present, the new law. No? So may I inquire if the Anti-Terrorism Council has already convened, Mr. Chair?
Sir, we have already convened twice, and we are in the process of finishing the IRR, and hopefully it will be done within the next few days, within the next few weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
That's where we are right now, and as we all know, it's now pending in the Supreme Court, and we cannot discuss any further.
Yes.
Anything relative to the anti-terrorism.
Yes. Congressman Sarate, please proceed to your last question.
Just on this point, Mr. Chair, no, gusto ko lang tapusin ito. So for the record, there is no IRR yet, and there are pending cases relative to the anti-terror law. So my next question, Mr. Chair, to the Executive Secretary, as at this point, even as we speak now, wala pa pong mga groups, persons, associations proscribed as terrorists under the new law, Mr. Chair.
Executive Secretary, you're now recognized.
Wala pa po. In the first place, wala pa hong tamang IRR na papagbasihan para makapag-proscribe, no? We are rest assured that we are working within the bounds of law with respect to the implementation of the Anti-Terrorism Act.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chair, just one follow-up. If that is so, Mr. Chair, because of course, no, the Executive Secretary being the chairperson of the Anti-Terrorism Council, alam niya ito. So talagang wala pang na-proscribe na mga tao, association, or groups. May inquire then from the Executive Secretary if they have the policy, no, in the executive na kahit wala pang na-proscribe or na-declared illegal na mga associations and individuals, if it is their policy to brand, to tag, no, as terrorist individuals, no, coming from the task force headed by the President. I'm referring to the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict. No? Because, Mr. Chair, I have to place this on record in this proceeding. Kami po ay pinangalangang mga terorista, no, ng National Task Force to End the Local Communist Armed Conflict. And as I've mentioned to you, Mr. Chair, we take exceptions to that. No? So, may I inquire from the Executive Secretary, is it a policy of the Executive, no, that even private individuals, members of Congress can already be labeled, called terrorists publicly by the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict without yet there was already an admission that there are no individuals and organizations yet being proscribed as such, Mr. Chair.
The Secretary, Executive Secretary, does not support that stance of proscribing people as communists. Or we, as I told you, we will work within the bounds of the law and look into the basis of tagging persons if they're members of the Communist Party or any organization.
We are called publicly, Mr. Chair, by the National Task Force. Specifically, the Undersecretary, the spokesperson of the task force, Undersecretary Badoy. No? All of us, we are called terrorists. No? And she accused us of just pretending or being legislators, but in reality, we are terrorists, ordering the NPA to conduct their operations. So that is a serious allegation. So we raised that to the level of the Executive Secretary. Is this being tolerated? Is this the policy of the Executive, Mr. Chair?
As I told you, sir, we will look into the basis of tagging them as such.
Thank you. Yes. Congressman Zarate, sa Friday, pupunta si Yusek Badoy at pwede natin siyang tanungin doon. Ngayon po, punta po muna tayo kay Congressman Gabby Bordado. Congressman Gabby Bordado, you're now recognized.
Mr. Chairman. Hello,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Congressman Gabby.
Kasama po ako sa mga mag-interpellate sa Office of the Vice President, hindi po sa Office of the President.
I'm very, very sorry at siguro meron kaming typo error. Punta na po muna tayo kay Congressman Joseph Paduano, sa aming magiting na minority from party list. Congressman Joseph Paduano, you're now recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, can you hear me, Chairman?
Oho, loud and clear.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning to Sec Vilgia. Mr. Chairman, before I proceed with my only one question, Mr. Chairman, I would just like to manifest that in my 6 years of joining the budget briefing of the Office of the President, this is the first time that I have heard that the intelligence fund or confidential fund from the President Office was discussed in some detail, of course without this specific budget, in every agency's and endeavor being undertaken by the Office of the President. Now, Mr. Chairman, as I've said, this is the first time. Kaya, Mr. Chairman, may I request na lang, Mr. Chairman, the good secretary, if for the perusal of all members of this House, to submit to us all the agencies being created by the Office of the President to, in this committee, Mr. Chairman, lahat ng mga agencies na may budget for confidential and intelligence fund to, of course, fight against local, international, and transnational security issues, Mr. Chairman. Can we ask Sec. Miraldia, those efforts and agencies that was mentioned by you, Sec. I forgot the name, Mr. Chairman.
Deputy Executive Secretary Ong, can you please answer?
We can submit a list of those agencies, Chair.
Yes, thank you. Comsec, you're directed to get the copies from the Office of the President. Congressman Paduano, ano pa pong question nyo?
Mr. Chairman, anyway, Mr. Chairman, I'm just looking at this is useful to us because every budget, every implementation of the budget of the office of the president is being questioned, especially from confidential intelligence fund. And with that, Mr. Chairman, we can explain to the people where our taxes go of this 4.5 billion pesos confidential intelligence fund. Mr. Chairman, may I proceed with my question, Mr. Chairman?
Akala ko yun yung question niyo. O game po. Ano po yun?
Regarding the National Task Force on to end the local communist armed communist insurgency, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, in our region, though this is parochial, but this covers also national concern, Mr. Chairman. Alam mo naman, we belong from Region 6, no? The province of Negros Occidental sa Region 6. Now, ang probinsya ho ng Negros Occidental is an island with our neighbor, which is Negros Oriental, which is placed in Region 7. Now, Mr. Chairman, the head of the National Regional Task Force assigned in Negros or in Region 6 is Secretary Simato. Now, Mr. Chairman, Secretary Simato so now is the Secretary of DNR, at the same time head of the Region 6 National Task Force on LCAC. And at the same time, Mr. Chairman, he is now assigned to troubleshoot problems of COVID in Visayas. Now, of course, we commend Secretary Simato for what he have done in Cebu, and of course now is now helping us in Region 6, especially in Bacolod and the province, my province, Negros Occidental, with General Mel Feliciano. And they're doing good, Mr. Chairman. But ang tanong ko lang, Mr. Chairman, sa kay Sec Meldeya, overloaded do si Sec Simato. Kaya kami sana, we want also to participate and be updated of what is happening in the National Task Force LCAC in Region 6. And our concern is the problem in our island because we are being interlocked with our neighbor, which is the province of Negros Oriental, under Region 7. And well, in fact, last year, all members of Congress in the island of Negros, I'm talking about the island of Negros, we filed a resolution to ask for additional KAFGU battalion in Negros. Now, Mr. Chairman, in line with that, can Sec Meldeya enlighten us about this situation? And can you help us, Mr. Chairman, to push for that request of all the congressmen and women in the island of Negros for additional KAFGU battalion, Mr. Chairman?
Okay, yan na po yung last question nyo kasi naka 3 minutes mahigit na po kayo. So ngayon, may we acknowledge, we may recognize Deputy Executive Secretary Michael Ong to please answer.
We can coordinate, Chair, with Secretary Kapuyan of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict. Tungkol po sa concern na yan with respect to Sec Simato. Perhaps Sec Simato himself po.
Thank you. Ngayon po, yung kahuli-hulihang magtatanong, ang ating magiting na congressman, Congressman Edsel Lagman. Congressman Edsel Lagman, you are now recognized po.
Hello.
Yes, Congressman. Good morning po. You are now recognized.
And good morning, Executive Secretary. As you well know, we have now the third series of the Lagman versus Meldeya before the Supreme Court. The first two were about the declaration of martial law in Mindanao and its extension. And the third series is about the challenge to the constitutionality of the Anti-Terrorism Act of 2020. But that is only for the record, Mr. Secretary. I am not going to ask questions about the anti-terrorism law because it is now in the Supreme Court. Now, may I now go to my budgetary questions?
Yes, please.
Mr. Chairman, can I proceed?
Yes, please proceed.
The contingent fund under the Office of the President for 2020 is 13 billion. And this is replicated in the proposed 2021 budget of 13 billion also. Would you please confirm this, Mr. Secretary?
Executive Secretary, you are now recognized.
May we request Gas Counsel to answer it?
Yes, Mr. Stoll, you are now recognized. Please answer the question of Congressman Lagman.
Yes, Mr. Chair, for 2020, so this confirmed. For 2021, I have not seen yet the budget for 2021, but for the 2020, it's confirmed that that is the budget for the contingent fund.
But I suppose you should be knowledgeable about the proposed budget of the Office of the President. And I am informed that the contingent fund of the Office of the President or under the Office of the President is likewise 13 billion. Kindly verify this from your records.
Yes, Your Honor. We have to verify. Just a moment.
If I may,
Yes, please, you are now recognized.
Congressman Lagman, if I may provide an input to your question. Yan po kasing contingent fund, as the Congressman correctly said, it's not in the Office of the President, but the wording of the Congressman is under. But to be more specific, it is not part of the OP budget at all. It's just that the President is the authority authorized by, provided by law to approve releases from the contingent fund. At yung pong pag-estimate magkano ang contingent fund, that takes into account not just the needs of OP. Actually nga po, for OP's needs itself, hindi naman po kumukuha sa contingent fund. It takes into consideration the needs, the possible contingent needs of the whole bureaucracy. So it's more within the ambit of DBM's purview.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Congressman Lagman.
The contingent fund under the Office of the President, or its station is under the Office of the President, is included in the National Expenditure Program submitted by the Office of the President. So the Office of the President official must know how much has been allocated for the contingent fund under the President for 2021.
Okay, Mama Stoll, please answer the
Yes, sir.
question.
We're just looking into the copy of the budget for a moment, please, because we just received the budget for.
Mr. Chairman, I hope the time consumed in locating the figure for my question is not deducted from my time.
Yes, Congressman Lagman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You look for a contingent fund. There's a contingent fund. Kasi binigay ang budget. Sabihin mo nga sila, magtawag naman sa video. Sorry.
Ini kay mga tibo nag-send a photo raw. Send a photo sa Bible kay mga
Briefing suspended muna habang hindi pa nahahanap para hindi
Mr. Chair.
Yes. Congressman Alvarado.
Opo, habang po siguro naghahanap ang Office of the President ng mga kasagutan sa katanungan ni Congressman Edsel Lagman, maaari po siguro muna tayo magbasa ng ilang comments.
Ayun,
Po sa
buti
ating
na lang
Facebook
at
page.
nai-go po. Pakibasa po
Opo.
muna yung mga ibang comment ng mga ating netizen.
Maraming salamat, Mr. Chair. Karamihan po sa mga comments, Mr. Chair, sa panahong ito ay nag-aawayan. At siyempre, ito po karamihan ay patungkol sa pagkakaroon ng red tagging sa ating mga kasama dito sa Kongreso. At hindi ko na po babasahin yung karamihan doon. Siguro isang babasahin ko na lang ay ito pong isang napakahalagang comment.
Sulat ko na lang. That need to be implemented.
Ito po, in-screenshot ko. Ang sabi po ay,
Government.
pero patungkol po pala to sa PhilHealth, hindi po dito sa Office of the President. Naligaw po ito, Mr. Chairman ng committee. Pero sana daw madagdagan yung mga covered ng PhilHealth, lalo na sa dialysis. Mr. Chair, mamaya ay magkakaroon tayo ng usapan sa Department of Health. Ikaw na po sana ang magparating po ng katanungan ni Vanny Santos sa Department of Health. At isa pa pong comment na nabasa ko po ay galing kay Corinne Gay Royo. At ang sabi, Nax, lumalove life si Honorable Eric. Ayan. Yun lang po ang ating mga napili na comment ngayong araw na to, Mr. Chair. At siguro po sa ating mga nagko-comment, mga netizen, comment lang po kayo ng comment, lalong-lalo na yung mga gusto nyong malaman at mga importanteng bagay patungkol po sa ating budget, Mr. Chair.
Salamat po dyan. At dahil po dyan, baka hindi nyo na po ako makita sa susunod na linggo at sa mga ilang araw pa po.
Chair, yung pong sa tanong sa contingent.
Sige, yun na lang po. Yun sa contingent.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead po.
Okay. So we have already the copy of the budget. So it is confirmed that the contingent fund for 2021 is still 13 billion po.
Congressman Edsel Lagman, 13 billion daw po yung contingent fund sa 2021. Congressman Edsel Lagman. Congressman Edsel Lagman, wag po kayo magalit. Hindi po anak niyo yung tinutukoy ni Congressman Alvarado. Congressman Edsel Lagman, nandiyan po ba kayo?
Yes, I'm still here.
Yes, 13 billion po yung contingency fund nung OP ngayong 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I said, it is a replication of the 2020 budget for contingent fund. My next question is, considering that it is under the President's sole discretion on the utilization of the contingent fund, may we know whether the contingent fund is to be used, among others, to meet the exigencies of an unforeseen calamity like the COVID-19?
Sino pong sasagot sa Office of the President?
Hindi siya eh. Wala siyang sabihin.
Pag wala po, gusto nyo ako sumagot.
Kaya nga po.
Yes.
Tama.
Deputy Executive Secretary Michael Ong, you're now recognized. Please answer the question.
Thank you, Chair. Yung pong contingent fund, while tama po si Congressman, it's within the discretion of the President to authorize its release. As a practice po, we get the recommendations of the DBM. Kasi po baka yung paglalaanan, meron na palang budget sa GAA. But and of course, we recognize na yung contingent fund nilagay po dyan para nga doon sa mga hindi naasahan o hindi na paglaanan ng budget sa GAA. And broad naman po yan. Broad po yung pwedeng paggamitan. Of course, we have, for calamities, we have a separate item for that, yung pong NDRM fund. But nothing prevents the President from also using it for COVID kung kinakailangan po.
Thank you po. Congressman Edsel Lagman, can you please ask your last question?
Well, Mr. Chairman,
yes, Kong.
Whether it is recommended by the DBM or not, in the final analysis, the control of the release of such fund belongs to the President. And I would say that the answer of the Office of the President is yes. It covers expenditures for national emergencies like the COVID. My next question, Mr. Chairman, is how much has been released by the DBM through the order of the President with respect to the contingent fund as of August 2020?
Thank you for your last question, Congressman Lagman. Sino po sasagot sa Office of the President?
Mas masasagot po, Chair, ng DBM. But we can ask Despa, who's called, if she has information. Otherwise, DBM po yung mas makakasagot.
Yeah, I'll answer.
Okay, ma'am, please answer.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for the contingent fund for 2020, we have spent only more or less 2.9 billion, and we still have a balance of 10 billion, 167 million, 772, 517 pesos po.
Thank you, ma'am. Yung po, Congressman, yung
Mr. Chairman,
sagot. Yes,
I
opo.
ask for liberality because I have a very important follow-up question.
Yes, please.
Now, of these releases, how much went to COVID response?
Yes, ma'am, please answer the question.
For such releases as of August 31, 2020 po, wala pong release dyan for COVID. Because all used for COVID are as issued yung sa Bayanihan Act po. So dito sa contingent fund, hindi pa po yan siya doon. Walang release po for COVID.
Just for the information of OP and the Committee on Appropriation, per DBM report as of August 22, 2020, only 553.1 million has been used for the COVID response coming from the President's contingent fund, despite the fact that this contingent fund is to answer, among others, calamity, national emergencies like the present pandemic. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Unless there is any comment from the Office of the President.
No comment daw. Thank you po, Congressman Lagman. Last to interpolate, Congressman Isidro Ungab. Congressman Isidro Ungab, you are now recognized.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, the honorable members of the Appropriations Committee, and good morning to my good friend, Executive Secretary Medelia, sir. Actually, this is not a question, it's just more of a manifestation because considering that I've been a member of the House of Representatives for 10 years, this is my 10th year already, and as I have observed, this is perhaps the longest committee hearing for the Office of the President. As a matter of tradition, or by tradition, we usually exercise or practice interparliamentary courtesy, and we leave the questions to the plenary. And I personally believe that the questions have been thorough and 12 questions have been answered. So I believe it is proper and fitting that based on our tradition and traditions that strengthen our institution, I hope that we approve at the committee level the budget of the Office of the President. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Congressman
Mr. Chairman,
Alvarado.
nais ko pong suportahan ang panukala ng ating minamahal na kasama at ilang beses na pong naging chairman ng Committee of Appropriations na si Congressman Ungab. Bagamat ito pong pinag-uusapan po natin ay hindi pa po nababasa sa first reading sa plenary, kaya ito po, Mr. Chairman, ay briefing pa lamang.
Tama po kayo, Congressman Alvarado, dahil po si Congressman Sidungab ay 10 taon na talaga sa Kongreso at mahabang kanyang experience, pero sa ngayong araw na to, pwede po natin i-terminate muna ang ating briefing.
Opo, dahil sa kadahilanan lamang po na hindi pa po nababasa sa first reading ang GAB po o ang General Appropriations Bill po para sa taong 2021. Pero sa espiritu po ng ating pag-uusap ay nais po naming suportahan ang panukala ni Congressman Ungab matapos po na mabasa sa first reading ang ating GAB, Mr. Chair.
Congressman Ungab, gusto niyo po ba mag-move to terminate the briefing?
May I explain further and help educate the new members of our committee?
Sige po, magte-take note lang po ako. Sige po, go po.
Budget briefing, that means that the budget is not yet passed on first reading. In order to expedite the proceedings, we usually allow the Committee on Appropriations to conduct budget briefing and convert later the budget briefings into a formal committee hearing. That's why during a budget briefing, the rules are more liberal. In fact, in a budget briefing, you don't have to call for a roll call because it is a budget briefing. It is not a committee hearing. So my point is, as a matter of tradition, because in the past, even within last year, it was still a budget briefing that we adhered to the tradition, we adhered to the courtesy, we adhered to our institutional tradition of giving parliamentary courtesy to the office of the president. We usually defer the question or just wait that it be asked in the plenary. So I hope my colleagues will understand my sentiment based on experience, and I believe that the wisdom of committee briefing would tell us that the rules will become relaxed and the rules will be more liberal. So that is the reason why there is a briefing for purposes of expediting the proceedings, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Congressman Alvarado.
kagaya po nung sinabi ko kanina ay sinusuportahan ko po ang panukala ni Congressman Ungab, bagamat tayo po ay naghihintay pa ng first reading po sa ating plenaryo. At tama po yung sinabi ng ating minamahal na former chairman ng Appropriations, Congressman Ungab, na darating rin po ang panahon na maiko-convert po natin itong briefing na ito into hearing at sa espiritu po na yon ay kasama na po nating maaprobahan ang budget, Mr. Chair.
Congressman
Mr.
Ungab?
Chairman. Mr.
Yes.
Chairman.
Sandali lang po, Congressman Ungab. Ano po yung Congressman Ungab?
So we will not be technical. Instead of approving at the committee level, I would rephrase my motion. A motion to terminate the present briefing and consider it approved when we convert it in a committee hearing, Your Honor. As a matter of,
Second the motion, Mr. Chair, at sinusuportahan po natin ang panukala ni Congressman Ungab.
There's a motion to terminate, duly seconded.
There's a motion to terminate, duly seconded. Hearing no objection, briefing is terminated.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.